Check, check, check. Go on. Check, check. Thank you. Thank you so much. Give it up for our tech crew, everybody.
Where'd he go? He's missing. There he is.
I'm so glad to see you guys. Our final day. Man, this weekend goes so fast, doesn't it? It's like it takes forever to get here. I'm going to start this morning. Don't get scared. I read something this morning that really moved me, and I wanted to share it with you. Is that okay? It occurs to me, and I think I'm probably right, and I think you'll probably agree. In fact, I'm just going to ask you a question. How many of you have ever or do struggle a bit with self-esteem? Let's just say most of us, right? If not all of us. I read this today, and I would encourage you, I'd like to encourage you to get this book and read it, okay? It's called When People Are Big and God is Small. It's great. I'm going to read this, it's not long. I'm just going to read, I read this morning, and it really impacted me. Where are my glasses? Come on in, guys. Just in time. Okay, you ready? We are so easily controlled. Oh wait, here, let me start. You'll start back about one sentence. We spend so much time wondering what people think about us. We are so easily controlled by their opinions or possible opinions. Sometimes we get angered by what they think or say. Other times, we would like to disappear. It is everywhere. For example, there are a couple of examples. A woman decided she was one big failure as she compared herself to her seemingly competent peers. Here's another example. A teenager came up for air after being submerged in an online world, only to feel more left out, depressed, and confused about her identity, yet with a little bit of snark as she located a few inferior types worthy of disdain. A young man was a slave to his need for respect. It came out as anger. Yet that anger covered his feeling that he was much less impressive than he hoped he would be. Final example, a man would not admit to feeling inadequate or insignificant, but he certainly knew how to make his wife feel that way. The problem is an ancient one, but it has been accelerating. In our connected world, we simply have access to a lot more opinions. The extreme comments, lack of comments, and constant comparisons leave us more isolated and desperate. I've thought about this struggle for years, yet it has not faded away in my own life. I was leading an all-day seminar at church, and by midday it was so quiet you could really hear a pin drop. Most every person was, I was fairly certain, hoping that I would finish my presentation early if they didn't interrupt me. As they were leaving, I mentioned these observations to my wife, and she kindly protested that I was not reading the room accurately. I found it interesting that she offered no evidence. How did I respond? I simply hoped that I could forever avoid the kind folks who endured until 5 p.m. This, of course, got me in the mood to revisit the topic at hand. Call it desire for reputation, need for respect, peer pressure, people people-pleasing, codependency, we can still be controlled by other people. A moment of rest from it would be welcome. I love that. And I think all of us connect in some way with that. Like I said, even the people, you guys that were coming in when we started, I had just asked the question, anybody in here ever feel insecure or lack of self-worth or low self-esteem? And like most everybody's hands went up. And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say the people whose hands did go up probably feel it, but they were kind of so, didn't want anyone to identify them with their hands up, but they didn't raise their hands, you know? And it's a common problem, especially in the world we live in, because everybody has access to the internet, and the internet's like the Wild West, right? I mean, you say whatever you want, post whatever you want, and you have to offer any kind of proof, any kind of accountability. You could ruin somebody from thousands of miles away, and they would never even know who you are. You're like behind a screen name. And meanwhile, somebody's fighting for their life because of stuff that you put out there irresponsibly, maybe even nothing you had anything to do with. You just, looking to feel important. You see the connection? Wanting to feel validated, wanting to feel relevant. And that's something we all need to look out for. And I throw myself in there with you guys. I'm no different than you are. I have the same struggles that you do. But I encourage you to check out this book. Will you do it? It's not a big book. Nice little paperback. I just started it. Again, it's called, and it looks like this: When People Are Big and God is Small. I'm going to guess that the essence of the message is that if you understand and embrace that you are loved by your Creator, that you are valuable to Him, what the heck do you care what people think? That's the message. That we give so much power to other people who in reality are just as insecure and just as scared as you are. Why in the world would we give them that power? I don't know. But we do. Me too. So I hope you'll check that book out. Thank you for being here. That was my little sermonette for the morning. Sorry. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Right? I hope I didn't. That has never, ever, ever been my intention. And I think you probably know that. I just care about you, and I care deeply about sharing things of importance and value, things that are precious. So, what a great weekend! Oh my gosh! Next year, we're all going to be back next year, right? 20th anniversary! Oh my gosh. I almost said 20th anniversary, yo. I almost said that because my wife and I are currently watching Breaking Bad. Right? And Jesse was like, we can't do that, Mr. White, yo! It's like every sentence ended in yo. It has been such a joy to be here with you guys. If anyone's wondering, what is he wearing? Is it a bad what is he wearing, or is it a good what is he wearing? Okay, thank you. Good plug. What? Axford? I don't have an axe. When you walked in, you thought that was blood. And yet I was still up here doing my panel. Been shot 100 times and stabbed a few times, but the panel will go on. No, you know what? Were you here yesterday? Were you at the panel yesterday? Remember I talked about this. There is a designer downstairs who came all the way from Japan. And I've known about his work for years. And in fact, years ago, he and I talked a little bit about doing a collaboration, doing a clothing line. Because we all know I wear weird things. And he makes cool things. And so we were corresponding right before COVID, right before everything just went because he was in Tokyo. So we shared emails, we came up with some logo ideas, he would send me some drawings, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then, wait. So when I came here, when I flew into town for the event on Thursday, I got early, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to go over and walk around a little bit and see what's what. I mean, nothing's even open yet, people are setting up, but just go see what booths are there. And I saw the H. Naruto booth, which I'd seen a million times at other conventions, and I was like, oh, cool. He's got a booth here. And the guy that runs the booth is named Harry, he's a tall Asian guy, friend of mine, and I saw him, and I'm like, Harry! And he turned around and said, Vic, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you so long. And we're chatting, and he goes, bro, look. And he points over to this guy with short blonde hair, and he turns around, and it's Naoto-san, who came all the way from Japan. He's downstairs right now. I told him to come up to the panel yesterday so I could introduce him, and you guys get to meet him. But he has all kinds of really cool stuff. My wife, when I sent her a picture of this, and she goes, where is that? Where is that store? And she's downstairs wearing a pair of jeans that she bought from Naoto. So check out his booth if you think about it, if you like some cool stuff. We've got some stuff downstairs at my table still. I would be remiss not to tell you this. We have some stuff at my table that any of the proceeds go to the efforts in Central Texas. They are in bad need, and we wanted to do something to help. So there are a couple of items that we have now. We've already sold several. We've raised several $100s already for just at my table for the charity. It's a local effort down there. It's not like Red Cross or one of the big federal things, but we wanted to pick a place that's right there on the ground, doing good work. So I've got a couple of things left downstairs. If you guys want to contribute, come on down. You might as well take something fun home, knowing that somebody yesterday came and said, I don't want anything. Here's to help out. It's the best thing you can do is help other people. Yes, President Loki. Did you see him yesterday? He was in a suit and tie. I'm like, wow, you fancy Loki. You're like businessman Loki here, corporate Loki. He's like, I'm President Loki. Yes, you are, Mr. President. Okay, whatever you say. Who's got our first question? Anybody got a question? Yes, ma'am.
First is, did you get into anime before or after you started the voice acting? And then the second question is, how did you get into character for zombie?
Well, I loved anime when I was a little boy. I just didn't know it was anime. The shows that I used to love, Speed Racer, Kim of the White Lion, and they just looked weird, and they sounded weird. But I liked it. They didn't sound or look like any other cartoon I watched, right? Loved Scooby-Doo, right? Loved Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, loved all that stuff. But these ones, this Speed Racer thing, like, who drew that? Because it doesn't look like Scooby-Doo. I was just a kid, and I could tell the art style was different, right? And the voices, it was just different. But I enjoyed it. Just didn't know what it was or why it was different. Until decades later, when I was asked to audition and for a studio here in Houston, as a matter of fact. And I went and auditioned, and as soon as the video came on screen, I was like, oh, that looks like Speed Racer. And then it was like, boom, Speed Racer was anime created in Japan. And that was like my first kind of realization that a lot of those shows that I enjoyed back then were from Japan, or they're anime. So I liked it, but I didn't know that it was anime. And of course, a lot of the shows that I've been a part of over the years, I have just fallen in love with. I've fallen in love with the storytelling of anime. I love how they create such depth of characters, and I was talking, who was it? I don't know if they're in here right now. They may be. Somebody came downstairs to my table this morning, just a little while ago, and we were talking about Full Metal, and the guy, I guess maybe boyfriend, said that he had just gotten his girlfriend in to start watching it. And I said, oh my gosh, that's great, how far along are you? And she said, I'm only like 4 or 5 episodes in, and already I bawled my eyes out, and I laughed so hard, and I'm like, that's the magic of anime. That one moment you can be laughing so hard, and the next minute, like on a dime, you're in tears. I love that. Was it you guys? It was you, yes. I love that. And you know, I mean, that's why, you know what, that's why people get offended when they say Japanese cartoons. Because cartoons are just, you know, light-hearted hijinks and, you know, funny, kooky stuff. But a lot of anime has such great depth. So that's what I love. That's what I came to love about it as I started working as a voice actor. And the second question was, how did I get into character for Tamaki? Well, I just woke up. And to quote Madonna, I was born this way. Oh no, that's Lady Gaga. Anyway, no, it's Lady Gaga doing a song that sounds like a Madonna song. You know what I'm talking about? So I was born this way, sounds like express yourself. I mean, even the musical arrangement, even the production of it. I remember when I first heard it, like, this sounds like express yourself, but no, but it's not. And then she started singing like, okay. I just, you know, to think of the sappiest, romantic, you know, passionate person, you know, and as I mentioned yesterday, talking about Oras, as I mentioned yesterday, Caitlin Glass, who played Haruhi, had told me early on, before there was even any casting, before there was even any auditioning, she told me that she had watched this show called Oran High School Houseboat, because she's a big anime fan, and there was a character that reminded her of me. And so, of course, I had to see it, right? Not worried about what is this character. And I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I love him. And he plays the piano like I do, and I just fell in love with the character. And I actually liked him so much that I was kind of afraid that I had jinxed myself. That I wanted to play it so bad that there was nothing going to happen. You know what I mean? A lot of times you can just let go of something, right? Just let go, whatever it's going to be is going to be, and things work out. But sometimes, you know, if you hang on to something so tight, you kind of end up messing it up, right? Because you just wanted it so bad. So I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, I'm going to screw this up. I want to play this character. But as good fortune would have it, I got to play it, and I loved every minute of it. Somebody downstairs said, I don't remember who it was, just this morning, I was talking to them, and I was signing a Tamaki picture for them, and they said, wow, your normal voice sounds like Tamaki. Well, Tamaki is more of an attitude than a voice. Yes, this is my voice, and this is how I talk. If we were having lunch, this is how I will be talking to you. How are you enjoying your hamburger? Right? The only difference with Tamaki is, how are you enjoying your hamburger? Colin, right? It's not a change of voice, it's a change of attitude. That lilting, lyrical, everything is just so beautiful. Starting with me. You know what I mean? It's an attitude. And that's the essence of acting. The essence of acting isn't changing your voice all the time. The essence of acting is playing character What is something controversial about one of your characters that you will defend? I feel like you used an adjective before defend. That you will, heartily defend. Anyway, it's a great question. Great question. Okay, I thought of a couple. The first one is, I will go to my grave defending that Broly is smart. Both of them. That was just a funny response. No, the real response is Ed. Everybody thinks Ed's an atheist. I don't think so. I really don't. And I'll tell you why. Because he makes references all the time that make it sound more like he's questioning. And the word for that is, anybody know? Agnostic. Not somebody that says, no, there is no. But somebody goes, I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. But it could be, but probably not. But maybe. And that's it. I mean, by the way, we talked a little bit about this at one of the other panels. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself for anybody who's been at the other panels, but let's see you lose what Ed and Al lost and be fine with it, right? Let's see you have your dad leave, abandon your family, have your mom die while you're a child, while you and your brother are 13, right, 14. Then you try to bring your mom back and you almost kill your brother. And in the process, you lose your own arm and your leg. So now you're running around on automail, trying to pick up the pieces. Your brother's soul is confined to this suit of armor. I can't imagine going through that and not shaking your fist at the heavens. And going, why? Right? Are you even there? Right? Oh, come on, there's no God. There's alchemy. Put down the scriptures and pick up an alchemy book. See, that's somebody who's hurt and angry and doesn't know what ends up from all the loss and all the pain. But then, in the very, very next episode, when they're talking about he's talking about Nina. And he says, we're not gods. We're just humans who couldn't even say, oh, girl. You know what I mean? I think he's more questioning. So that is what I would defend. And it's not because I'm a Christian, it's just because my feeling of the character is that he's questioning. That he has lost so much. And he's trying so hard to reconcile this loss with the world. Exactly. Who's got a question? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I got a lot of juice today. Okay.
Oh, you're right there. Sorry. I'm sorry, I came down the road for you. Before I kill you? Before I strangle you, right? Go ahead.
Can we consider you an honorary vendor because technically you did the stunt strings for Iron Man?
Yes. I could be in it. Yes. I love that you know that. Can I tell that story?
Bet you didn't know I was Iron Man. Yeah. The truth is, I am Iron Man. No, here's the story, and it's kind of a fun story. When I was living in Los Angeles, and at the busiest point in my career, several years ago.
I'm sorry.
Who's calling? They say let me answer. I was working with a studio in LA, several studios, but there was one in particular that was dubbing an Iron Man anime. Has anyone seen it? I mean, it was out there. I don't know. You did? Cool time. I don't know where it was released. I don't know how long it was out. Anything. But I auditioned to play Tony Stark. And I felt pretty good about it. And I didn't get it. And I thought, well, you know, win some, you lose more. But it happens. And then several weeks later, the producer of that show called me and said, we want to schedule you to come in. We want you to come in and play a character in Iron Man, the Iron Man anime. I'm like, oh, cool. It was going to be some episodic, some episodic bad guy, or some nemesis, or something that had like a 3 or 4 episode arc, something like that. So I went in to play this character. And the producer told me that who they ended up casting as Iron Man was some guy that was on Heroes, maybe, or Lost, the TV show. It wasn't a voice actor, but they cast him because they figured, it's like casting Schwarzenegger, you're casting a star from some popular TV show or movie to bring a little more attention or a little more publicity to the show. So, of course, me, as the lowly voice actor, I'm thinking, stupid Lost, stupid Heroes. Voice actors always get kind of bummed out when on-camera actors take roles and then they don't do a very good job with them. But whatever, So he told me this, and so it was a period of a few days that we recorded on that show. And the first day I went in, he told me. The second day I went in, I was recording my character, and my character had a conversation, was having a conversation with Tony Stark. And the guy that played Tony Stark had already recorded, which means I could hear his voice in my ears and as matching the character's mouth. So at one point, he says something. I'll have to do something about that. And I just for fun went, I'll have to do something about that. Just for fun. I was just playing around, right? And imagine you're me, and this is a big glass window, and on the other side of the window is a control room, and this is what I saw. And the woman from, I don't remember the company that was in charge of dubbing it, but they had a representative there to make sure the recording went good. And she stood up and she pushed the little talkback button. She went, was that you? And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just messing around. I'm just playing with it. She goes, hold on a minute. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired already, right? I really screwed up. I'm going to take, she thinks I'm mocking Iron Man. I was just playing, you know what I mean? And then the director, she lets off the talkback mic, and she starts going. And I'm like, and then she comes back on the talkback, and she goes, the guy that plays Iron Man, he doesn't like to yell for like the fighting scenes. He doesn't like to do it, and quite honestly, he's not great at it because he doesn't have any experience. But he doesn't want to do it because he's a singer. I'm thinking, I'm a singer, like, go ahead. Right? So she goes, we're going to go to a section in the episodes where Iron Man is fighting. And you sound a lot like him. we would like to track the fight, which you put it in record, and you react to picture. So they go to this scene, right, this fight scene, and I'm doing, just following, right? And they're like, oh, that was great. So for the whole rest of the series, whenever Iron Man is fighting, it was me and not Mr. Singer. Who apparently I am not. Question. Yes, you. Hi.
I would say one question and one thing I have a story for you.
Okay.
For the first one, would you ever defend be the big sweet?
That is indefensible. You can't deny height. You can say I'm height challenged. You can say, I'm not short, I live in a big world, or some of those, one of those fun ones like, I'm not short, I'm fun size. Those kind of things you hear people say all the time. But no, I don't think there's really any defense. He just is, Incidentally, speaking of Ed's height, you know how tall he is? Does anybody know? No? Oh gosh, that's giant. That's not short at all. What? Did you say 4'5"? Okay, that's R2D2, bro. Okay. No, okay, so here's the deal. The mangaka said in the manga how tall he was. It was in like centimeters or something, but somebody did the conversion. You know how tall he is? 4'11".
That was a good guess.
Now, here's why that is the greatest thing ever. Do you remember when you were a little boy and a little girl, and your mom and dad would put little hash marks on a doorway to mark your growth? My mom did that. And guess what the last number I ever remember her writing was for me? 4'11". Isn't that crazy? When I heard that that's what he was, I was like, okay, that's just too weird. Okay.
So honestly, with this story, it's a funny story. So I remember going to your stream and you were asking who in the world is Candace Fox?
So that's you?
That was me.
Well, Candace.
Welcome. For those of you that don't know, and by the way, consider this an official invitation, every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Central, I do a live stream on Twitch. A couple hundred people come, and we have a great time, don't we, Candace? We have a chat running the whole time, and I'm talking with everybody, and then we have videos that we share, and we have a fan cam that you can call in and jump on the fan cam with me and chat. We have a fan cam question of the day, and it's great. We've got dozens of new people showing up every week, so you're more than welcome to join us. In fact, this weekend we had kind of an informal Twitch family meetup, like of our Twitch gang. The other night when I sang a couple of songs on stage outside, we had a little meetup. There were probably, my goodness, probably 10 or 15, maybe more, people that were on their own live stream every week. But you never know who they are until they come up and go, hey, I'm Dark Logical. You know what I mean? Or I'm Distant Traveler, or one of these other screenings. So it was really cool to put faces with names. Yes, sir.
First off, when you stepped into the role of GP, that you were my favorite, what did you think was the best way to approach him as a character?
Well, what they told me about Junpei was that he's kind of dumb, but he thinks he's really smart. You know those kind of, they're just a little thick, you know what I mean? Just a little a little dense. It's not stupid, really, just a little dense. Okay, let's go with it. But they think they're really all that, right? And that's the way they describe it. So that was just the approach that I took, from the very, very beginning with him. All of his Believer, June days, believe it or don't, and his dance revolution. I love that character. That was the approach I took to him because that's the way he was describing me. Oh, you're done. Okay, sorry. Here.
So random, but one of the things I always want to, because I actually that's why I encourage kids at anime bar sometimes. One of my adult policy was, if I ever got to the chain, I wanted to do mass destruction with you. And you do the chorus, because you're both sides, and do that.
Well, we gotta do that sometime.
I see karaoke in our future. I'll get it down there to the anime bar, all right? Question? Yes, sir.
What? Okay. Yeah, so everybody can laugh at me. Good idea. Tell the internet that you're going. And they will descend upon me.
Alright,
Yes.
so which one of your characters do you think can pull off a live action role? Wait, which one of my characters do I think I could pull? Another great question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. Because I've talked 1,000 times about how one of the fun things about anime is that you can play characters that you'll never get cast as on camera. Like I can play Edward Elric, but Edward Elric is, clearly I'm not gonna get cast as Edward Elric if they make live action. Or for that matter, Broden, right? I mean, it's not gonna happen. No, I see some jack guys downstairs. Maybe they can do it, but I can do it. I could never work out, especially at my age. I can't. No amount of working. Yeah, rubber suit. That's the answer. Rubber suit and stilts that'll make me about 7 feet tall, and I'll be ready. No, just cast The Rock or somebody who's just some big, huge dude. Anyway, but who could I play? No, Tamaki's a high school student. I would give anything to play Tamaki. Believe me. Believe my heart.
Spirit.
But no, that would never happen either. Wait a minute. Let me think. Oh, wait a minute. Let me say, I might even be thinking what you're going to say, so let me say. Okay. If it were Full Metal Alchemist, totally play it all the time. I could also play Hughes or Mustang for that matter. Let's see. Of characters that I actually did play, I could also obviously play Maka's dad.
Spirit.
Right? That's right. Dang, now that I think about it, there aren't too many. I think it's probably because my voice sounds younger than I actually am. And so you end up playing younger characters. Even though, I can do other things. But my natural voice tends to, I tend to play younger characters. If I were stupid enough to shake my head, I could play Ikaku in Bleach. I might be able to play Sabo in One Piece, who I voiced for a time. Can't think of anybody else right now. Who are you going to say? Oh my gosh, you're right. Rohan Kashibe. Yes. I like it. I like the way you think. Yes, Rohan. Okay, that's my first choice. Yes, sir.
So, whenever you play music or act, they say typically people get into what they call a flow. Do you think there's like a voice actor equivalent? And if so, do you have any notable roles that you feel like
First of all, it is true. What you just said is absolutely true. And I've noticed that almost all the voice actors I have known have some musical element to their personality. Either they play an instrument or they sing. Now, one thing that makes music is tempo, a rhythm. I mean, what makes a song not a poem? You know what I mean? Like, what makes a lyric not a sonnet? Because it has a tempo to it, and a rhythm to it. And I've noticed over the years that voice acting has a rhythm to it. And people that tend to play instruments or sing and be comfortable with rhythm and have a sense of rhythm and tempo, that kind of thing, tend to settle into voice acting more easily. They just tend to feel the rhythm of the character's mouth movements. You can watch it one time and go, okay, I got it, and nail it. Because you just have developed a sense of rhythm from your musical background. Excuse me, so a voice acting equivalent, there isn't any one that comes to mind, but just the whole general idea of musical experience and skill being very beneficial in voice acting. Really helps. Especially if you're a singer, you know, and you are very familiar with your voice and what you can make it do and how to change it to sound a different way, or how to communicate in a song, the emotion of the song. Kind of like voice acting, isn't it? Only take away the melody, right? Take away the music. Question? Yes, sir. Hi.
My friends and I are big fans of video you directed years ago. It's a promotional video for SoccerCon 2000.
Oh my.
I was wondering if you could talk about the production of that.
Oh my
How long
God.
did it take to make? How much money did you have to make it?
I did a few for SoccerCon actually. I was a regular guest there several times, and they asked me one time, the very first time, if I would make a little promo video for SoccerCon. Was the first one? Let's see. I did two. I know I did two. One was at the sushi bar. Is that the one you're talking about? Oh yes, with Garugamesh, right? That was a thing. Why did it become a thing? I never understood why that became. Okay, for those of you that have a very puzzled look on your face right now, they asked me if I would do a promo, and so I thought, sure. So I made up this idea where there were a bunch of people sitting in a sushi bar, and they're all at the bar, and one guy takes a bite of sushi or something, and goes, man, I love sushi. And somebody he's with goes, oh, yeah, me too. And like the person beside them overhears it and goes, I love Japanese food, like all Japanese. And then the next guy goes, I love Japan, you know? And it just starts growing. And so he goes, I like gaming, you know, and I like cosplay. And some guy at the end goes, he leans forward, he's all like pumped out and black, and goes, Garugamesh! I only did it because there was some Garugamesh. What is that? Is it a band? Is it a style of music? What is it?
Band.
Okay. They were going to be at SoccerCon that weekend. So I basically, before I ever wrote the idea, asked them, what do you want me to make sure and promote? So the whole time that everybody, more and more people in this restaurant are joining in, and it's just, you know, building and building and building. And every once in a while we cut back to the sushi chef. And he's a Japanese guy, he's sitting. listening to what they're saying. And finally it builds to this fever pitch of everybody talking about what they love about Japan and anime. And he goes, "Hey!" And they all turn and look, and he said something, "It's so good at coming to each of us," or something. Like, and the translation was, "You should go to soccer time." And then of course it has to title Seattle, Washington, and the dates and stuff. I did another one for MetroCon. I did 2 or 3 for MetroCon, where I was supposed to be a guest one year, and I wasn't able to make it for some reason, and so I made a video for them to play opening ceremonies. And in the video, I was on the roof of my house. Has anyone seen this? I was on the roof of my house in a robe, in my bathrobe, and I was like crying. And some guy runs up, like he's jogging through the neighborhood, and it was me. Like everybody in the video was me. And he runs up, and there's this hillbilly kind of a guy who was me, standing out in front of my house, like buck teeth and sunglasses and a big mustache, right, and a ball cap, and he's looking up at me on the roof. And this jogger dude runs up and goes, "What's wrong with him?" And he goes, "I don't know, he's babbling on about MetroCon or something like that." And I'm up on the roof and I'm like, "MetroCon! It's MetroCon, and I'm supposed to be there, and I can't be there!" And I said, "Paul, right? Hold on, buddy. I'll go down and I'll tell them that you can't make it," right? It was just a dumb program. So they showed it at opening ceremonies that year. Next year comes around, and I'm like, I was going to be there, but I got on my roof, put the same robe on, I glued on fake beard, like I had been sitting on the roof the whole year. And I'm like, I have no energy to sit there, and I'm kind of wavering back and forth like I'm about to lose it, and I'm holding a little Alphonse plushie. So I'm just sitting there, and suddenly, it's like it never changed. I had been there this whole time. And a fire truck pulls up in front of my house. And then this ladder comes up, and a fireman climbs up, and I'm the fireman. And I go, "How you doing over here, Phil?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Hey, just wanted to go to MetroCon, and they said I wasn't coming down until I got to go." He goes, "Well, I got good news for you, buddy. We're taking you to MetroCon." And I'm like, "It's MetroCon." He goes, "Whatever, buddy. Give me your robot." And I'm like, "It's not a robot! It's a suit part!" It was so stupid. But what was funny was they played this video at opening ceremonies. This was the next year, and I brought the robe, and I went out on stage to say hi to everybody, wearing the robe. I don't remember if I glued the beard. I'm a jerk. Anyway, I just like doing dumb things like that. I can't help it. You know what? All these people in the back, like, he's never going to call on us. You're next. Yes?
You've played so many characters and so many personalities. Tamaki is just the princely type. You have Sabo, and then you have Broly. What is, like, do you have a favorite personality type to play in any role? Like, there's so many different types. You have the dark and brooding, you have the princely type of Tamaki. Is there one specific one that you love to play the most?
Is there one specific type of character that I enjoy playing the most, was the question. And you know what? The answer is honestly no. And you know why? Because that's the essence of acting. Is getting to play all kinds of different characters, right? Especially characters that are not you. Right? If I get cast to play a guy like me, there's not much acting involved. But to get to play a sinister, dark character, distracted or whatever it is. That's kind of the fun of acting, is getting to play something that's not you. Karen and I talked about this a little bit on Friday, if any of you were in that camp. I've always enjoyed heroes, and yet, bad guys are sometimes really fun to play. Why? Because I'm not a bad guy, right? I mean, I'm not a homicidal murderer, so if I get cast in that, like, how fun will this be to play? Because it's so far from who I am, that it'll be really a fun exercise in imagination, right? So, I've always loved the craft, just everything about it, and it doesn't even really matter what character. I enjoy all different types of characters. Good question. Yes, sir.
If you were to pick two memorable or quotes that you like from your characters, which would you pick?
If I were to pick
Two memorable quotes? See, that's the problem with having done as much as I've worked as I've done. You know, it's hard to pick a couple of quotes, you know what I mean? So many of them have so many great quotes. Atomic E has so many funny things. He says so many great things. And he even says a couple of kind of heartbreaking things, too. In that whole episode with him and Kyoya about how they met. And you find out that Tamaki his family doesn't care much about him, they don't really pay any attention to him. That's why he started the host club. Because he wanted a family and his own family. I'll never forget it. This is probably 10, 15 years ago. And yet I remember so well that he was telling somebody, not just telling Kyoya, he was talking about his family, and he said, well, my grandmother hates me, so blah, 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 blah. And he said it so matter-of-factly, and I thought, how heartbreaking that he's just kind of come to terms with, like, family doesn't like him much. And so that's why he loves the host club so much, because they're the family that he doesn't have. Ed, oh my goodness. I could write a book on his awesome quotes. There are so many great ones. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story about early on, right after we finished recording Full Metal. And again, you need to understand, everybody, we don't memorize the lines, right? We don't have to, because we're voice acting. We're in a recording studio. So we're reading, or at least a little short term, right? Like read it, okay, I'll break into speaks in my head. While you're remembering it, but then you just grab it for a second, or you're reading completely, especially if it's a longer line. So if you do it right the first time, you move on, and you never say that line again, and you don't have to keep it in your head anymore. So I was in a panel just like this, and we had just recently finished recording Full Metal, and it had just shown up on Cartoon Network, and I was watching it too because I was excited to see how it turned out. Because the only parts I ever saw were the parts the parts that Ed was in, right? So there were entire scenes, there were entire story arcs that Ed now were not there, whether it was in Central City or Ishbal or Leor. If Ed wasn't there, I didn't see it. So I would watch the show on Saturday nights so I could see what was going on in the whole story, and I could also hear all of the other actors that had not yet recorded when I recorded Ed, when I recorded my lines. So it was early on after we had finished recording, and again, I didn't remember a lot of the things I said, because you did it one time, you did it right, move on. Even if you did it 2 or 3 times, right? 5, 6 months later, you're here. So someone in a Q&A session just like this said, what's one of your favorite lines as Ed? And I was like, uh-oh. I was getting nervous because I'm like, what do I say? this person, what's one of your favorite lines? And she goes, my favorite line is when Ed said, there are so many people whose asses I have to kick, I should make a list to keep track of them all. To which I replied, I said that? Why did I remember that? Because that's a great quote. So for months after that, at conventions and panels, and somebody would say, what's your favorite line? Like, there's so many people's asses I have to kick, I can make a list to keep track of them all. So, I'm going to go with that one today. Yes, sir. Yes. You'll see.
Well, for the question, thank you so much for getting that. My question is, have you ever wanted to write or produce your own original anime?
Well, I never really thought about that because anime by its very nature is from Japan, right? And you know what I've noticed, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this too. Anime, almost any anime, have certain sensibilities to them, and a lot of times it doesn't even make sense to us. They think differently. This is not a bad thing or a good thing, it's just an observation. It's just the same way that, you know, people in Europe have a way of doing things that's different from people in China, and people in Japan do things differently than people in the States. And they have a different approach to interaction, perhaps relationships, a lot of things. So, I sort of feel like anything that somebody would create here would be anime. I mean, they might want to adopt the anime style of art, right? The drawing style. And they might come up with a really compelling story. Okay, Ruby. A lot of people love Ruby. Ruby's not anime. Wait, what? When? Really? Well, how about that? But my point is, Ruby is the one here with the Rooster Teeth. It's not anime. It's a cool story with cool characters, but it's not anime. Because anime, by its very nature, is animation that's created in Japan by Japanese creators and writers, mangaka. So if I were to make it, it probably wouldn't be anime. I could try to make it look like that. In fact, a lot of animated shows have adapted an anime style because they know anime is popular. So hey, let's draw it like the Japanese anime. But they're drawing it in Los Angeles. So it's not. I've got some stories, but I'm more fascinated in the idea of finding some licenses to some anime that exist that have not been done, and get the license to them and dub them. I'm quite confident in the people, the voice actors and technicians that I know, in my own understanding of voice acting and directing. I've directed several, even anime series that a lot of people don't know about. And we have all the tools that we need to create a really great dub. So it boils down to getting a license, which equals money to buy a license to dub. That's my hope, and that kind of touches on something I said yesterday at our panel about AM Studios, that Anime Matsuri actually wanted to create an anime dubbing studio. A lot of the other studios have grown so big and been purchased by big corporate companies, and it might be really neat, to have something that's a little more personal, a little more heartfelt, you know. Not quite as crank out 5 every week, you know, kind of thing. So I'm hoping that happens. I would love it if it happens, and I know that there are a lot of great voice actors out there that I know, and I'm certain there are a lot of great voice actors out there that nobody's met yet. You know what I mean? Plenty of talent out there. And it'd be great to have an opportunity to discover some new people and give people opportunities that they might not otherwise get. Oh my gosh, again? The time goes so fast. Oh, is it a good question? Is it a good question? That's the most important thing. Because it's going to be our last one. We gotta go. Sorry? A question for me? What is it? Oh, well, how many of you have kind of grown up in Houston? If you ever watched the news when you were a kid or even as an adult, there was a beautiful, brilliant anchor on KPRC every night named Dominique Saxo. Well, I knew Dominique 35 years ago, before she was with KPRC, before she was even in that industry. She used to work at Mix 96.5. Is that still around? Good. I used to write songs for them and jingles and stuff like that in their morning show. And Dominique worked there, and I met her. And I thought she was beautiful. Beyond beautiful. But we never connected, really. And she went on and she got married, had a kid, and got divorced, and got remarried, and I got married, and got divorced, and we just kind of, did our whole separate lives. And anytime I would come to Houston, I would drop her a note, just to say hi. I would never ask her out, I would never, say, what are you doing there? It was literally, hey there, hope you're doing well, I'm in town for an event, just want to say hi. So, 2 years ago, this weekend, I came into Houston for Matsuri. And I did what I always do. Hi, Dominique. I hope you're doing well. I'm in town for an event this weekend. Just want to say hi. And she wrote back. And she said, oh my gosh, hi. Wow, how great to hear from you. And we decided that we were going to try to find an opportunity to have lunch or dinner and reconnect. Now remember, it's been like 25 or 30 years since I've seen her. So we met at a nice little restaurant in the Galleria area called Cafe Annie. And I got there first, and so I'm sitting there, excited, and she walks in and was like, as beautiful as ever. And we sat down and just, started catching up the way you do with an old friend like you haven't seen in years. And I hope you don't mind me saying that I feel like God brought us back together after all these years. Everything just clicked exactly the way it should. And my divorce, I lived in Houston for 20 years, and when my divorce happened, by the way, completely against my wishes, I was destroyed. Destroyed. And even though I would date people throughout the years, I could never bring myself to get married again. I just couldn't do it. I was too scared. I was like, no, I'm not going to. I am not going to go through that again. And I would get right up to the edge, and then I'm like, nope, can't do it. I can't do it. But with her, it was just so right and so natural. And so just last month, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to God. You is an amazing, amazing gift and an amazing lady. Okay, I'm going to get beat up because I've gone over my time. So you guys, I love you all. let me tell you, you will never know how much you need me. Yes, and you know what? This guy had an idea, and I hope you don't mind. Again, if you're not into this, it's fine. But I'd like to close this panel with a prayer. Is that okay with you? I'd even like to offer a prayer for you. I mean, you don't mind that, do you? Heavenly Father, I am so grateful for each and every one of these people. You made them all, every one of them, each singular individual. You made them special and unique and precious. And you love them, and I love them, and I'm so grateful that they've enjoyed my work over the years. I'm grateful that they've taken the time to spend here with me, and I just pray a blessing over them. I pray that wherever they are in their lives, and you know what's going on in their lives. I don't, but you know everything. And I pray that whatever they're going through right now, good or bad, that they will call out to you and reach for your strength and invite you to be a part and guide their lives. And I'm just so full of gratitude for the privilege to know these wonderful people and how they have encouraged me over these years is priceless to me. Bless each and every one of them and their families. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys. I love y'all. I'm heading back to my table for the rest of the day. Come say hi. Or I'll see you